Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 5, where we're going to talk about the newly released Legends Pack Volume 1 downloadable content, just dropping today on Steam, Xbox Marketplace, and PlayStation Store. So this includes Jeremy McGrath's Honda from, I think it's actually 1996, but they have it in as 2016 in here for some reason. Ricky Johnson's 1986 Honda, Jeff Stanton's 1992 Honda, Kevin Wyndham's 2008 Honda, and Jeff Ward's 1985 Cowie with the Pontiac Silverdome 2002 track as well. And I was very excited when I saw this list and the components a part of this downloadable content. But we got some things to talk about a little bit with this. First off, let's start off with just playing or just kind of cycling through these guys and showing what they look like. There's Ward on his 85 Cowie. Again, this is McGrath's, it's like his, peak mid-1990s, like maybe 95, but it looks like his 96 CR250 two-stroke. It's listed as a CRF 450R for some reason. This is listed as a KX 450, but it's not. It's a 250, and this is also a 250. This is correct. This is Kevin Wyndham's 2008 Honda CRF 450R when he and Chad Reed battled for the title. This is also listed as a CRF 450R for Ricky Johnson's 1985 CR250 that he's on, and Jeff Stanton's 1992 Honda CR250 is also, for some reason, a CRF 450R. And so the problem that we have with that, of course, is they are all four strokes in a game when every single one except the Wyndham bike would be a two-stroke. So, Wyndham's bike is supposed to be a four-stroke. Everybody else is supposed to be a two-stroke. I digress. It's still a cool DLC. First off, let's talk about this Pontiac Silverdome track that they included, and as mentioned, you're just going to hear Jeremy McGrath's bike appear as a four-stroke right here, but here's what it looks like on kind of either side of his bike. It's a nice look. I mean, I feel like they did a pretty good job with putting this together, and the look of it's fantastic. I mean, it's awesome that we have this version of McGrath in the game as well. This is just like about as iconic of a look of McGrath as you can get. He maybe had a couple more cooler looking Fox designs, I feel like, than this one specifically. But like the Honda wings up the back and stuff like that to go with, all the Fox logos and stuff like that from the mid 90s. And I don't know, like this is like early Terra Firma days for Jeremy McGrath, right in the middle of him winning 4 Supercross titles in a row and winning 14 out of 15 races in a season and everything like that. So it's a fantastic look and really cool that we get to have it in the game. Talking about this Pontiac 2002 track a little bit, and again, I have a little bit of a problem with this track. I am very, very fond of this track. Some of you that have been around the channel for a long time might remember that I created a video called The Greatest Supercross Race Ever. There was like a docu-series about the 2002 Pontiac Supercross race, which, I think it's a healthy debate to have about whether it was the greatest Supercross of all time. I still personally think that you probably put like Atlanta 1990 above it, but 02 Pontiac was incredible. The race consisted of Ricky Carmichael going down early in the main event, going from 19th to 2nd with a visor hanging in his face, a bunch of riders going down, Tim Ferry blowing a main event victory. But if you want to hear the full story of it, I'll link the video that I created on this channel in the description below of the story of the 2002 Pontiac Supercross. My problem with it is I was so stoked to see this recreated in a video game, and they kind of botched the whole thing. I don't know what it is with their DLC tracks, but they always seem to do this where they never really make the track even kind of close to what it was in real life. Like through this first section, it was a step table jump in there. It wasn't an over table. That rhythm section flowed that way, but then through here, it was so rutted and peaked out these jumps that they were not even going triple-triple right there, and they pretty much built it as a triple-triple. The track was a lot tighter. The Supercross triple is tiny. This whoop section, it's probably about the closest thing to what really the track was like. But then from here, they've got kind of everything wrong. There's supposed to be rollers right here before you go into the tunnel. There's an inside roller coming out of this one, and then they would go double-triple to come back across the start straight, but it's just a double-double there for some reason. This bull berm is fine, but then back across the start straight, there's a couple little rollers into a double, and then over the finish line jump. And then this, corner right here also had a big roller in it, and then the Supercross triple again is tiny, and then this is where Carmichael went down on the Dragon's back. So, I mean, I guess that's fine, but I just don't know why, like, it's very obvious to me how they could have built this track and how they could have made it. So the second I played it, I was like, you know what? I think I can build a better version of this in the track editor than the version that they literally did with, you know, all the tools that they have available to create the tracks. And to me, that's just kind of frustrating to see that, you know, they have a lot more at their disposal to build these racetracks and make some cool stuff. And it just feels kind of lazy that they didn't really think to complete the whole track and include all the jumps that are on the racetrack. So from this point forward, I'm going to show you guys every other bike and rider that is included in this pack, but I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the track that I created that I think is a better version of 2002 Pontiac. All right, so next up, we're going to play as Jeff Ward in this lovely version of the I think this is the 1983 KX 250 two-stroke right here, but of course, we still have the four-stroke sounds, and we're also playing on my version of Pontiac 2002, which I think just overall has a better flow. I think this is the oldest bike that we've had in the game so far. They're definitely digging a little bit further back now to find some cool old stuff, including Jeff Ward here. And I feel like this bike looks really clean. Like it's you know, a really good rendition of this bike. Again, I wish that they would do the two-stroke sounds with this bike because it'd probably sound awesome to see it that way. But you know, overall, pretty well done with the actual package of it. Jeff Ward's I think this is JT gear, I believe, that he's running right here, but they obviously don't have the logos on it. And then, yeah, back when he was number 2, of course, he's probably more known for being the iconic number 3 on the Kawasaki that he was for so many years. And I know a lot of newer fans will be like, wow, so there was a number 3 that, you know, made Kawasaki's famous before Eli Tomac? Yes, there was. Jeff Ward was an icon on Cowies for a decade, basically, and really became synonymous with, I feel like, the number 3. I think he still actually runs the number 3 when he goes out and, you know, just goes riding for fun. And then even when he did like supermoto racing and stuff like that in the early 2000s, also ran the 3X. So 3 just kind of was his number. And like I said, he was very synonymous with Kawasaki for many, many years. So good look, good vibe. Cool to see that they, you know, dug a little bit further back and found some even more historic bikes like this to kind of bring back around. The McGrath thing, I think, is probably the coolest part of this pack, but this Jeff Ward thing is also really unique to have, you know, just, I mean, this is back when, like, you know, they're really starting to dial in, you know, the single shock suspension on the rear a little bit. They had finally started to move away from those late 70s, you know, dual shock models on either side of the swing arm. They were starting to get, you know, the forks a little bit better, and we're starting to actually have, you know, more or less kind of a look at what modern bikes became with this kind of model back then. So yeah, nice look here by the Jeff Ward design Cowie that they included in the game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, moving a little bit forward here. Now we are on Ricky Johnson's 1985 CR252 stroke here. Two-hip himself. Of course, this is a rider that we have already had in the pack before. We've seen Ricky Johnson and the 1986, I believe it was, Anaheim 1 track from, I think they did that in Supercross 3. I don't know if that was a Supercross 4 thing or not. But obviously this is kind of like an iconic look right here as well. Very similar to the Jeff Ward situation where Johnson and, you know, these like mid to late 80s, Hondas just went together so well. The Fox gear really kind of tied in very nicely. The Fox gear was really starting to take off by this point, and really starting to get some more marquee riders. Of course, at this point in time, Honda was kind of the place to be as well. You know, Ricky Johnson, David Bailey, Johnny O'Mara, all winning championships on Honda in the 80s, and it was kind of just like I said, the place to be. So, you know, Johnson was more or less kind of the face of the sport to a degree. He had like the good looks and the bleach blonde hair and all that stuff like that really jived with people in the late 1980s, and he's also blazing fast and super stylish, and you know, just had a lot of things going about him. And then he and Jeff Ward split titles back and forth a lot in those late 80s championships before eventually Johnson, as we know, had a pretty bad wrist injury, which kind of derailed his career a little bit. He still won some races after the wrist injury, but never was really kind of the full same Rick Johnson that we had seen. Johnson eventually moved on to short course truck racing and you know, more off-road events, and yeah, now does a lot of cool stuff with like Red Bull and other things like that he's been involved with for years as well. So I feel like even if you didn't live through the 80s, see the 80s, or know much about 80s Supercross, you've definitely heard of Ricky Johnson before, because he's an icon, like I said. And he's in the San Diego Sports Hall of Fame. Little fun fact there, because he is from the Cajon Zone, El Cajon, California. So, yeah, a little throwback. Talking about Jeff Ward, now Ricky Johnson. And we're going to move on to the next rider on the list and go take a look at Jeff Stanton's setup. All right, now move to Jeff Stanton's 1992 Honda CRF 250, the last of Stanton's Supercross championship winning years and bike combo right here. And really, if you were, paid much attention or read about the 1992 Supercross season, this is a championship that arguably Stanton should not have won. He definitely caught fire late in the season, but really wasn't quite the same Jeff Stanton that we had seen through the first, basically half of the season. Damon Bradshaw was in his peak, I feel like, form at this point in his career. Early in 1992, took a pretty commanding championship lead and slowly watched it fade away at the clutches of Stanton late in the season. Even so, Bradshaw still went into the final round of 1992 as the championship leader with a real shot to win it. He just needed to have kind of a decent main event, and he did not have a decent main event. And Stanton put together a great main event and won his final Supercross championship. Going into the next year, though, there would be one Jeremy McGrath that would move up to the 250 class full-time and compete alongside his then Honda teammate Jeff Stanton, coming off of that 1992 Supercross title. And after the third round in Anaheim that year, McGrath never looked back and won 4 Supercross titles in a row. So this is kind of like, I would say the last real Jeff Stanton year even. He still raced after this. He was still good after this 1992 season. But obviously being a championship winning year and a year that he really caught fire late in the season to win this title, I feel like plays a lot into the legacy of this bike, this setup, this look, and everything like that. Again, some AXO gear, which just looks really solid for the time. I know a lot of people don't really like this either, old school look that AXO had or what have you, but this is such a good 90s motocross look with kind of the pink and the orange kind of mixed together with some blue and the lines going all over the place. And overall just a really good setup. Of course, the Honda always looking good as well. Still kind of right in the middle of Honda's heyday, coming off of all those Ricky Johnson titles, Jean-Michel Bale winning the 91 Supercross championship, Jeff Stanton winning his titles, and then Jeremy McGrath going on and winning a bunch of titles later in the 90s with Honda. So yeah, this is really cool to kind of see, I guess, Honda through the years as well. We got Ricky Johnson, then Jeff Stanton's bike, and then, of course, McGrath that we saw at the beginning. And then we're going to move on to, a much more modern Honda bike here, but still getting a little bit old at this point as we go ahead and move on to take a look at Kevin Wyndham. All right, here we are with the final of the Legends Pack Volume 1 DLC, Kevin Wyndham's 2008 Honda CRF 450. So, hey, bike sounds finally match the bike that we're actually going to be riding for this race right here. And man, this 2008 season and this bike and combo and everything that Wyndham had, this was literally candy for me, because I was a huge Chad Reed fan and huge Kevin Wyndham fan at the time. And it's not that I didn't, dislike James Stewart, but to have Wyndham and Reed both, be healthy and have a titanic title fight amongst each other when James Stewart went out with his knee injury was just a lot of fun for me in that point in my life to kind of watch as a fan. So this is Geico Honda before it's really fully Geico Honda. It had been Amsoil Honda for many years. In this particular case, we got the Torco logos on this Honda bike right here that Kevin Wyndham ran throughout the season. He and Chad Reed took the championship all the way to the final round in Vegas, which I believe Wyndham did win that main event. Reed got second, but Wyndham lost out by 10 points in the end or something like that. It wasn't terribly close, but close enough that if Reed made a mistake or something like that, Wyndham was in a prime position to win the championship. And aside from Chad Reed's near title run in 2011 on basically a privateer Honda, this is the closest that Honda has gotten to a championship in 450 Supercross since Ricky Carmichael's 04 title, as the curse of the GOAT kind of continues on. Of course, Ken Roxon has not been able to convert on it in recent years. We've had Trey Kennard get close, Chad Reed as well on his 2-2 Motorsports Honda days, and Davey Millsaps was also good on Hondas. But Kevin Wyndham in 2008, basically on a satellite Honda program, really rose to the occasion and tried to bring Honda to the top step in Supercross that year. and is also kind of Wyndham's his last real opportunity at winning a title, because after that, obviously the Ryans start to move up. Villopoto came up in 2009. Dungey came up in 2010. The Reed and Stewart Titanic battle of 2009. We all know about that one, but then it kind of became the Ryan story after that, and then Wyndham would go ahead and retire in 2013. But 2008, he was in still kind of peak form after coming back and really figuring things out on these 450 Hondas, and so close in the end to getting that 2008 Supercross title. But it did go to Chad Reed in the end, and yeah, just a cool little throwback to ride Wyndham's bike from that era and talk a little bit about it here today as we ride this Pontiac Supercross track. So again, I have been riding this updated version that I made of the Pontiac 2002 Supercross, which I think just overall is a more close replica version of it, and in my opinion a better rendition of it as well. This is on the PC though, so if you're interested in playing it and trying it out for yourself, it's called Better Pontiac 02, all one word, so you guys could try that out for yourself and see whether or not you agree with my take on this being a more realistic representation of what that track was like back then. But yeah, the DLC pack, I'm sorry I haven't mentioned it to this point. Maybe I did at the beginning of the video. It's actually $9.99 for you to get this 5-rider pack and the 2002 Pontiac Silverdome track as well, if you would like. As mentioned, PlayStation Store, Xbox Marketplace, and Steam is where you guys can go and check out those DLC contents. So yeah, that is the latest DLC pack here by the folks at Milestone. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, please be sure to get in the comment section below if you have any more questions or comments you want to add to the video. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have for me. And yeah, that's the first edition of the DLC packs that we're going to have coming in Monster Energy Supercross 5 now behind us, and we're going to look forward to some more stuff that I'm sure they're having coming throughout the month of April. So thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.